a misty, misty morning here. It was practically raining about an hour ago. It's getting a little cleared up, still overcast. Makes a great day for filming, and a great day for doing some hard work, which I have to do today. Today is the day I finally prepare the backyard vegetable beds for tomatoes. Right now, they are full of peas that are completely mildew and crispy. This started getting mildew, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I just let it go because it was almost done producing. I knew I was going to be taking them out, and I simply just did not have time to deal with it then. So because it's diseased, we're going to have to treat the soil a little bit differently. So if you've got some disease issues where you're going to be planting a new crop, stick around. But the very first thing I have to do is get these peas taken out. So I'm going to set the camera up, get a little bit of work done, and then I'll come back and we'll prepare the bed. So fortunately, I did not attach the bamboo canes to the top of this tomato trellis. So that's going to make it a little bit easier. I'll have less to undo. I did, however, put string between the bamboo trellis for the peas to climb. So I'm going to go through and cut that, and then the bamboo cane should just be able to pull right out of the ground. All right, so I've got all the string out, I believe. So now I'm just gonna start yanking them out. Look at this, can you see I'm covered in powdery mildew? So the thing about peas and any legume is they are nitrogen fixers. So I am not going to pull the roots of the peas out of the bed. I'm going to leave them because they have nitrogen nodules that has been pulled from the air, converted into nitrogen, and it's stored in the roots. So any nitrogen that pea or the peas didn't use are still there, and they're going to be able to help feed my tomatoes. So I'm going to cut them off right at ground level. I'm not going to pull them out. They actually just break off at ground level. It's pretty easy. Oh, not that one. Okay, so this one actually got pulled out. I want to show you nitrogen nodules that are in the root system. Can you see that? It's a bunch of nodules. They just hang on the roots. They're very easy to come apart, but they stay in the roots. It's bittersweet doing this because this is the best pea year I've ever had, but it's also gone on way too long, and the tomato plants should have already been in. So many of you are ahead of me already. So good riddance, it's okay. There will be time in the fall to plant peas again. So this big pile of peas is actually not going to be added to my compost bin. It'd be great, it's a lot of material. But because of the powdery mildew, my compost does not get hot enough for long enough to kill the spores. So these are going to go into the city yard waste recycling, and they can deal with it. So now I can see what I'm left with, which is basically a bunch of weeds and debris. So I'm going to just clean that out, every last leaf that I can get, because again, there is mildew in all of that. If you have good soil, it's much easier to pull the weeds out of. Raised beds in general are just easier to deal with in terms of weeds. So now pretty much the only thing that's left in these beds are the pea stems that weren't easy to just rip off without taking the root. So I'm just gonna go by each one and slice it off at ground level. I like using a knife to do this job rather than clippers because you can actually stab down below soil level and just get the whole thing up but leave the roots. So technically I'm actually cutting them off just beneath the soil level, but you don't have to do that. Okay, now that I'm working, it's actually heating up. So what's left? So I've pretty much got all of the diseased leaves and debris out of here. Now you're never going to get it all. There's tons of microscopic little spores all on top of this soil. So what do I always talk about when it comes to protecting new plants from soil pathogens? Right, mulch. So I'm gonna go grab some compost and I'm gonna put another probably 2 or 3 inch layer of compost on top of this right now. First thing we gotta do though is take up the drip lines if you have them, because you need to remember where those are. So I'm gonna try something new this year. I'm gonna plant them the same way I always do. I'll have a video on that in a week or so. But I'm gonna prepare the soil with a little more nitrogen than I normally do. So I'm going to put a sprinkling of blood meal over the surface of the old soil, which will be at the root level of the plants, right? Before I put on the new compost. Blood meal is for an organic fertilizer, it's very, very high in nitrogen. It's a 12, this one at least is a 12-0-0. Now I'm gonna cover this surface here with about 2 inches of compost. Okay, now the last step is mulching. I'm gonna use straw mulch on my beds. You can use whatever type of mulch you like. And the reason I do the mulch before I actually plant is it's much easier to spread the mulch and then just open up a hole and plant the plant, rather than have 15 plants in here and have to kind of maneuver the mulch around each plant. Almost forgot to put the drip lines back in place. You want the drip, if you're using drip, you want the drip lines to be underneath the mulch. So another inch or 2, preferably 2, of straw mulch. Going to keep the moisture in and the weeds down throughout the summer. And next week, it's planting time. I'll see you back here.